Hidden beneath the awe-inspiring beauty of the Himalayas, a vast mountain range that shelters Everest and spans several nations, lies an invisible yet powerful threat capable of altering millions of lives within moments. Each year, the Indian tectonic plate relentlessly presses northward into the Eurasian plate, accumulating immense pressure along one of the planet's most perilous fault lines. Experts agree that a colossal earthquake, potentially greater than any the region has endured in centuries, isn't just likely, it's inevitable. Throughout history, the Himalayas have endured countless catastrophic quakes, and science now warns that another devastating event is on the horizon. The long-anticipated Great Himalayan Earthquake. When this massive rupture occurs, entire cities could crumble in mere seconds. Guided by history's warnings and scientific insight, today's video delves into the seismic legacy of the Himalayas, the enormous pressure building beneath their surface, and the catastrophic risks of ignoring these signs. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It's the best way to support our channel and help us continue bringing you powerful stories like this one. The Himalayas, a breathtaking mountain range stretching more than 2,400 kilometers across Asia, stand as a symbol of both natural wonder and spiritual depth. Yet beneath their icy peaks lies an unstable truth. They were born from one of the most violent geological collisions on Earth. The Himalayan seismic threat originates from plate tectonics, the ever-moving mechanism of the planet's crust. The Indian tectonic plate, shifting northward at around 45 millimeters per year, is steadily colliding with the vast Eurasian plate. This process doesn't occur smoothly or evenly. Instead, energy builds up gradually along massive fault lines until it's violently released in powerful earthquakes. One of the most critical of these faults is the main Himalayan thrust, MHT, a vast, low-angle megathrust fault that runs beneath the entire Himalayan arc. This is the main boundary where the Indian plate is forced under the Eurasian plate. The fault system is divided into several segments, each capable of rupturing on its own, which means different parts of the Himalayas face the risk of separate, yet equally destructive seismic events. The buildup of stress across these fault segments is uneven, forming seismic gaps, regions that haven't experienced major earthquakes in centuries and are believed to be the most likely zones for future catastrophic activity. Historical records show that the Himalayas have faced massive earthquakes approximately every 100 to 300 years, though not consistently across the entire range. Among the most destructive was the 1505 Low Mustang earthquake, which struck the central Himalayas and is estimated to have reached a magnitude above 8. This was followed by the 1803 Garhwal earthquake, which severely affected the Indian region of Uttarakhand. In the 19th and 20th centuries, the 1833 and 1934 Bihar-Nepal earthquakes caused widespread devastation throughout the Kathmandu Valley in northern India. The 1950 Assam-Tibet earthquake, the strongest ever recorded in the Himalayas with a magnitude of 8.7, unleashed enormous landslides, reshaped rivers, and claimed thousands of lives. More recently, the 2015 Gorkha earthquake in Nepal killed nearly 9,000 people and displaced millions. Significantly, it did not rupture the surface, leaving much of the stored strains still trapped deep within the crust. Each of these quakes serves both as a warning and a revelation. While they release some of the accumulated pressure, they also expose how uneven and incomplete that release is along the Himalayan fault system. Scientists have pinpointed several fault segments along the Himalayas that are considered long overdue for major earthquakes, based on the time passed since their last rupture and the constant buildup of tectonic stress. The most concerning of these seismic gaps lie within the central and eastern Himalayas, especially across western Nepal, northern India, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, and parts of Bhutan. The term overdue earthquake doesn't suggest an exact prediction, but rather a probability grounded in geological data. By examining paleoseismic evidence, traces of ancient quakes preserved in layers of rock and sediment, researchers estimate recurrence intervals for major seismic events. In many of these zones, those intervals have already been exceeded, indicating that the conditions are ripe for a massive rupture. The prolonged accumulation of stress within these locked fault segments suggests that the Himalayas are nearing another catastrophic event, one that could rival or even surpass the magnitude of past historic earthquakes. Recent progress in satellite technology, especially GPS-based measurements, has dramatically enhanced scientists' understanding of how the Himalayan crust is deforming under immense pressure. These readings reveal that the region is under extraordinary strain, with certain sections of the main Himalayan thrust, MHT, accumulating energy at an alarming rate. Studies using seismic tomography, interferometric synthetic aperture radar, and crustal heat flow analysis have further uncovered that many parts of the MHT are locked, meaning they are not currently slipping, but are instead storing tremendous potential energy. Such locked sections are likely to be the origins of future massive earthquakes. One alarming study published in Nature Geoscience in 2020 revealed that a 600-kilometer stretch of the central Himalayas, covering parts of northern India and western Nepal, is tightly locked and capable of generating an earthquake of magnitude 8.5 or even greater. Additionally, scientists have observed increasing microseismic activity, small, often imperceptible quakes, in some regions. While these minor tremors don't directly signal an imminent large quake, shifts in their frequency or pattern can sometimes precede major seismic events. Together, these findings present a troubling reality. The Himalayan crust is heavily strained, and the countdown to the next major earthquake is already underway. The danger of the long overdue Great Himalayan Earthquake is magnified by the dense population living in its potential impact zones. The Indo-Gangetic Plain, lying just south of the Himalayas, is among the most populated regions on Earth. Major cities like Delhi, Kathmandu, Dehradun, Guwahati, and Shimla are situated within areas that could experience extreme ground shaking during a massive quake. These urban centers are rapidly expanding, often without proper planning, resilient construction, or strict seismic regulations. In Kathmandu, thousands of buildings that survived the 2015 earthquake were later declared unsafe. In Delhi, decades of urban sprawl have reached into active fault zones, and many structures were built without earthquake-resistant designs. If a magnitude 8 or greater earthquake were to strike during the day, when schools, offices, and roads are crowded, the consequences could be disastrous. Casualties might reach hundreds of thousands, while economic losses could climb into the hundreds of billions of dollars. The combination of massive population density, aging infrastructure, and insufficient preparedness makes this region one of the world's most vulnerable seismic hotspots. The economic fallout from a massive Himalayan earthquake would reach far beyond collapsed buildings. Essential transportation networks, roads, railways, and airports, would be crippled, severely hindering emergency response and supply movement. Power lines, water systems, and communication networks could all fail simultaneously. Regions reliant on tourism, such as Nepal and northern India, would face devastating losses. The destruction of cultural treasures, temples, monasteries, and historic monuments would represent an irreplaceable cultural and spiritual tragedy. Reconstruction, as seen after the 2015 Nepal earthquake, could take decades and consume a large portion of national GDP. Additionally, earthquakes in mountainous terrain would likely trigger enormous landslides, blocking rivers and forming temporary dams that could burst later, unleashing deadly floods downstream. Fragile glacial lakes could overflow as well, sending torrents of water and debris cascading through valleys. The combined damage to infrastructure, economy, and the environment would set entire nations back by generations. The Himalayan seismic zone spans multiple countries: India, Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, and China, making the threat of a major earthquake a complex geopolitical issue. While tectonic plates disregard political boundaries, human responses to such disasters are shaped by national priorities, diplomatic relations, and regional tensions. A massive Himalayan quake could devastate several nations simultaneously, with destruction spreading across borders within minutes. For example, a large rupture in western Nepal could cause severe shaking in northern India, while a quake in eastern India or Bhutan could send tremors into Tibet and Bangladesh. Although some cooperative efforts exist, such as initiatives by the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SAARC, and the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, ICIMOD, they remain limited in scope and execution. These programs often lack adequate funding, coordination, and political momentum to achieve large-scale preparedness. Stronger regional collaboration, including a shared seismic monitoring network, unified data sharing, and coordinated disaster response drills, could dramatically improve readiness and reduce casualties when the inevitable earthquake occurs. The Great Himalayan Earthquake is not a matter of if, but when. All scientific evidence, from geological history and GPS data to fault stress accumulation and seismic gap analysis, points to an inevitable seismic catastrophe somewhere along the range. The clock is ticking, and humanity's window for preparation is narrowing fast. The tragedy of an earthquake lies not in the shaking of the earth itself, but in the devastation caused by human unpreparedness. Through informed planning, stronger construction standards, regional cooperation, and public awareness, the scale of destruction can be reduced. But ignoring the warnings will lead to unimaginable loss. The earth will move. That is certain. The only question that remains is whether we will be ready when it does.